At an airport buzzing with rolling suitcases,
Promise?
coffee cups,
I promise.
rushing footsteps, and muffled announcements, a man in a sharp black suit sat perfectly still, as if time had frozen only around him. His name was Adrian Cole, a billionaire CEO known in boardrooms but a stranger in his own life. His eyes were fixed on the departure board, blinking with one painful word he had been running from for years: delayed. But this time the delay was more than a flight. It was a pause that forced him to sit with a loneliness he had never admitted to anyone. His phone buzzed non-stop with messages from assistants and executives, yet the one message that mattered, the one he had hoped for, remained absent: "Dad, I miss you." He swallowed hard, pretending to read his emails, but his vision blurred from exhaustion and a quiet ache he didn't dare name. At the same moment, a tiny pair of boots stopped right in front of him. Adrian barely glanced up until a soft voice cut straight through the noise, innocent yet disarmingly sincere: "Are you lost too, mister?" The words made him blink, and then he looked fully at the little girl standing there, maybe 4, maybe 5, wearing a bright red coat, a green backpack, and holding a half-eaten cookie like it was a treasure. She stared at him with curious blue eyes, her head tilted, her knitted Bear Air hat slipping sideways. "Lost," he repeated, startled because no one had ever asked him that. People usually assumed he always knew where he was going. "Why do you think I'm lost?" The girl shrugged in that fearless, honest way only children can. "Because you look like my mommy when she can't find the right bus. She looks around like this." She squinted her eyes, puffed her cheeks, and mimicked scanning the room dramatically. For the first time in months, maybe years, Adrian let out an actual laugh, not the polite corporate one, but a real, human one that softened the lines in his face. He leaned forward. "What's your name?" "Mila," she said proudly. "And I'm 4, almost 5. She held up 3 fingers, struggled, then finally managed 4. Adrian nodded seriously. "That's a very important age." Mila stepped closer, whispering as if she were sharing a secret. "I'm looking for my daddy. Mommy says he's in the clouds, but not the airplane kind. I think that means he can see me but can't come here." Adrian's heart clenched hard. He didn't know this child, but something about her honesty cracked open a buried part of him, the part that remembered his own daughter, Emma, looking at him like this before she stopped asking him to come home for dinner. "Where's your mom?" he asked gently. Mila pointed behind her. "Buying water." She said, "Don't move, but I saw you looking sad, so I came to help because sometimes grown-ups don't know what they need." The simplicity of her words struck him like lightning. This tiny stranger had just said the truest thing he'd heard in years. "Maybe I was a little lost," he admitted quietly. Mila smiled as if she had fixed everything. Then she reached out her small hand, without hesitation, without fear, and placed it inside his. "It's okay. I get lost a lot too. But it feels less scary when someone holds your hand." Adrian froze. Her hand was warm, kind, real, something he hadn't felt in a long time. Not since Emma was small enough to hold his fingers and guide him around playgrounds. His throat tightened. "Thank you," he whispered, and Mila beamed up at him as if she had just rescued a grown man from a burning building. She tugged on his arm. "Come on, I'll help you find your mommy." He almost laughed again. "I don't think my mom is here." "Then who are you looking for?" Mila asked. He hesitated. His answer came out softer than he expected. "Maybe, myself." Mila gasped dramatically. "Then you're super lost." He couldn't deny it. She let go of his hand and climbed onto the empty seat beside him, legs dangling. "My mommy says when you're really lost, you should stop running, sit down, and breathe." "Are you breathing?" He inhaled, trying. "In through your nose," Mila instructed like a tiny yoga teacher. "Out through your mouth, like blowing birthday candles." And to humor her, he did exactly that. Mila giggled. "See, you're getting unlost already." Her confidence did something unexpected. It settled him. He found himself telling her things he'd never told anyone. How he worked so much he hardly remembered what home looked like. How his daughter barely spoke to him anymore. How he kept chasing success but losing himself in the process. Mila listened like a wise little owl, eyes wide, cookie crumbs on her lips. When he finished, she nodded with surprising wisdom. You should tell your daughter you're sorry. Mommy says sorry fixes hearts when they get cracks. Adrian stared at her, stunned by the purity of the advice. Do you think she'll listen? Only one way to know, Mila said simply. Try. Before he could say more, Mila's mom rushed over, panic flooding her face. Mila, I told you not to wander off. Sir, I am so sorry. Adrian shook his head. No apology needed. She actually helped me. Mila grinned proudly. Her mom thanked him again, took Mila's hand, and began guiding her away. Mila waved. Bye, mister. Hope you get unlost. Adrian raised his hand in return, feeling something shift inside him, something he thought he had lost forever. Direction. Purpose. Hope. As they disappeared into the crowd, he reached for his phone, and dialed a number he had been avoiding for far too long. The call rang only twice before a small, hesitant voice answered, Hello. Adrian felt his breath catch. That voice, it was smaller than he remembered, softer, but unmistakably his daughter's. Emma, he said gently, as if speaking her name would shatter the fragile moment. Silence. Then a sharp inhale. Dad. A swirl of emotions rushed through him. Guilt, longing, fear, but for once he didn't hide behind excuses. Sweetheart, I'm sorry. For everything. For missing your school play. Your birthdays. For choosing meetings over moments with you. I don't want to be that father anymore. I want to come home. I want to know you again. His voice trembled, surprising even himself. There was another long pause, and he imagined her sitting on her bed, knees pulled up, wondering if this was just another empty promise. When she finally spoke, her voice was barely above a whisper, Are you really coming? Adrian swallowed, emotion rising like a wave. Yes, I'm at the airport now. I'm getting on the next flight to you. Another silence, then something he wasn't prepared for. A tiny sob, the kind children let out when they've been holding in sadness for too long. Okay, she breathed, I'll wait for you. When she hung up, Adrian stared at his phone with trembling hands, not from fear, but from relief. The kind that comes when a heart long closed finally let slide back in. He stood up, grabbed his briefcase, and headed to the counter. Put me on the earliest flight to Chicago, he said. The attendant typed quickly, then looked up apologetically. Sir, the earliest flight is full. Adrian's heart sank, but before he could respond, a familiar voice piped up behind him. Is he lost again, Mommy? Adrian turned, and there was Mila, holding her mom's hand. Mila's mom laughed softly. No, honey, he's just trying to get home. Then she addressed the attendant. Excuse me, my daughter and I can take a later flight. Please give him our seats. Adrian stared, stunned. I can't ask you to do that. Mila's mom shook her head. You didn't ask, but it looks like you need to get home more than we do. Mila nodded enthusiastically. Yeah, you need to fix your heart cracks. The attendant smiled and printed his boarding pass. Adrian accepted it with a humbled gratitude he couldn't express. Thank you, he whispered. Mila grinned. You're welcome, Mr. Unlost. Adrian knelt to her level. You helped me today more than you know. She patted his cheek. That's what friends are for. Friends. The word warmed him. He hugged her gently, stood, thanked her mom again, and hurried toward the gate. As he walked, he realized he felt lighter, as if Mila had taken a piece of his sorrow and replaced it with hope. On the plane, Adrian stared out at the clouds, thinking about Mila's innocent wisdom and the chance he had been given. Hours later, when the plane landed and he stepped into the terminal in Chicago, he saw her, Emma, standing alone, clutching a stuffed penguin. She looked nervous, older than her years, but when their eyes met, something inside him broke open. Dad, she whispered. He didn't speak. He didn't need to. He dropped his bag and pulled her into his arms, holding her like the most priceless gift in the world. She hugged him back, hesitant at first, then tighter, clinging like she had waited for this moment for years. Adrian closed his eyes. In that embrace, he felt every crack in his heart begin to mend. "I'm here now," he whispered into her hair. "And I'm not going anywhere." Emma pulled back, wiping her eyes. "Promise, promise." They walked out together, hand in hand, and for the first time in his life, Adrian realized he wasn't lost at all. He had simply been walking in the wrong direction, and a little girl in a red coat had turned him around. Moral: sometimes angels don't come with wings. Sometimes they come with tiny boots, cookie crumbs, and brave questions that change a life forever. If you loved this emotional story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. More heart-touching stories are coming your way. Red Heart.